everybody. While it could be sunny and in the mid-80s on Memorial Day weekend, it is instead nasty and rainy outside with temperatures in the mid-50s. So this evening we're going to be making chicken and dumplings for dinner. So I've had this chicken leg quarter boiling for a little while. It's safe to say it's done. So now we're going to begin the process of making the dumplings, and tonight we're doing roll dumplings. Now if you're interested in fluffy dumplings, I have a video of making those and I'll put a card in the upper right corner. So anyways, to start out with the roll dumplings, we'll need 2 bowls, a small bowl and a mid-sized bowl. So we're going to start out by making our dry ingredients. Okay, so we'll start out by mixing up our dry ingredients. We're going to need 4 cups of flour, and this is regular all-purpose flour. We'll need 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and let's top that off with some garlic powder. Okay, let's go ahead and mix this up. Alright, next we're going to crack an egg. Alright, now we're going to beat this egg. Alright, so now I'm going to add about 1.5 cups of water or broth from the cooked chicken. And I'm going to mix this thoroughly. Alright, so now I'm going to combine the two and mix them together. I have actually removed one of the whisks from the mixer for this, because this will get quite thick. And I'll probably have to finish it by hand. Okay, so I've kneaded this up into sort of a ball. It's still a bit loose, but that's alright. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is get our non-stick cooking spray. Spray some on the table. This is different from my previous method, which I'll put a link into the description and also put a card somewhere in this video. You probably may have already seen a card. The old method consists of putting flour on the table. And let's just say cleanup was quite a chore. But with this new method, things are a bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and put our dough on the table here. Let's get a rolling pin. Spray it down just like I did the table. And let's go ahead and start to roll this out. So we want to roll this out pretty thin, like maybe a 1/4 inch thickness. Okay, so I got it rolled out. So now what we need to do is cut it. And the way I do that is I use a pizza cutter. Cut it into small squares. I'd say probably 1 inch by 1 inch. Of course, I want it to be exactly that. These will increase in size a little bit when they cook. Okay, so we'll let that sit for us a little bit. And while that sits, we'll go ahead and pull the chicken leg quarter out of the pot and pull the meat off the bone. Okay, so I went ahead and pulled the chicken off the bone. And it'd been there so long that the chicken was falling off the bone. So it's really good and tender. Alright, so now I'll go ahead and add water back to the pot. So that's roughly about 6 cups I've added back. Alright, let's go ahead and bring this up to high heat. Bring it to a boil. Alright, so I'm going to add some Better Than Bouillon roasted chicken base. We'll need about 4 good teaspoons of it. And while this is coming up to a boil, let's go ahead and add some basil and parsley. Okay, so now we're at a boil. Let's go ahead and start adding in dumplings. I'm going to stir this up. And since my new method for rolled dumplings does not generate a lot of loose flour, unlike the old recipe, which there's a lot of flour loose on the dough because, well, I used to put flour on the table and I used to top the dough with flour. I want to add just a little bit to the pot to help sort of thicken up the broth. We want chicken and dumplings, but we don't necessarily want dumpling soup. But if you want your broth to be very soupy, then you can skip this step. But I'm just going to go ahead and add some in. Try to sift it, that way it's not super thick once it gets into the broth. And we're not doing a whole lot of it, just a little bit. And be careful not to add too much at once, otherwise it will clump up and you'll have like little nuggets of flour in your broth. And as long as they're really small, not a big deal because they'll just cook into what's kind of similar to dumplings, because the dumplings consist mainly of flour. So again, it was 4 cups of flour, 1.5 cups of hot broth from the chicken, 1 egg beaten, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, along with garlic powder, and if you're in a pinch, you don't have time to cook a chicken leg quarter, then an alternative would be to go, of course, and pick up, let's say, a rotisserie chicken. In that case, you could use water as a substitute, or chicken broth in a can, I guess. So we're going to let these cook for about, I'm going to say about 10 minutes or so. Increase the heat just a little bit here. And we'll leave these uncovered actually. Okay, so they've cooked for about 10 minutes and they're done. Ready to serve. So that's my new process of making homemade chicken and dumplings using the roll method. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.